Welcome everyone to the CCC Friday Contemplative Practice. I'm Jolynn and I'll be hosting the session today. Our team of presenters, members of the CCC community, offer contemplative practices every Friday at noon to help us pause from the activity of our week, to reflect more deeply within, to be nourished in spirit, and to join together in community. Today, Elizabeth River will offer a reading, and then we'll have a period of silence for reflection or contemplative writing. At the end of the time, we'll have 10 or 15 minutes for us to read or otherwise share our writing thoughts and reflections. A bit about Elizabeth. Elizabeth River is an interfaith minister and has been a CCC member since 2003, and she loves this beloved community. She loves to guide people on their spiritual quest, as she herself is guided toward loving and living into the big questions of life. A few logistical reminders. The practice will last about 30 minutes, and then we'll open the room for sharing. You'll be able to unmute during the sharing time, and the practice itself will be recorded, but the sharing time will not be. And now I'd like to hand it over to Elizabeth.
Thank you, Jolynn. I don't have a bell. Anyway, I'll just say ding when the time is up. Well, welcome everybody. It's good to be here with our little miniature beloved community today. And I love this contemplative practice that we do here every week. And there's such a richness of what everybody brings. I have to say that I don't use a lot of scripture in my own life, just a few things that are very meaningful for me. I use poetry more as when I very first came to CCC, which is about 20 years ago now. Somebody said, oh, well, I was listening to how much poetry we had. It was when Bill and Ann were ministers. And somebody said, well, it's called the Church of Mary Oliver or something like that. But it just got me in tune. I hadn't really paid a lot of attention to poetry, but I began doing it more. But as to scripture, years and years ago in the 80s, I went through a time of deep depression, and I didn't have any of the skills and whatnot. I was at the time a member of Glide Church in San Francisco, and got to be close to Cecil Williams and Janice Mirikitani, his wife, and I wrote down every book he ever mentioned in one of his messages. And I've looked over the parts of my library I've kept. I've gotten rid of a lot of books as I've moved, but I kept this book. In fact, this is a new copy of the book. The one I had is the binding is falling off and the pages are falling out, so I got a new version of it. But he had used these Psalms, and it's called the Book of Psalms, a Book of Psalms, and it's adapted and translated by Stephen Mitchell. And I don't know if you're familiar with his work. He adapts and translates Lao Tzu and a lot of Buddhist literature and so forth. I just love his way with language. But this particular thing, there are two Psalms that I've relied on in my other book. They're all beat up, and it's Psalm 16 and Psalm 17. And Psalm 16 is really a celebration of God and a lifting up of the writers, the psalmists' relationship with God, how the psalmist perceives God. This one, it has some of that, but it's really a prayer coming from the depths, from the worst places. And this just came at a time in my life when I needed that. I needed something. And for a long time, I had this memorized, but at any rate, just phrases in it, even just one phrase from this would help me. So you may or may not be in any kind of a depression. On the other hand, if you even looked at one headline of the news today, you might, just because it's a very complicated time in our world. And recently, I will say, we had a message from Bill some weeks ago about too much. It was a week after some shootings, and a lot of things happened all in that same week. And he gave us a poem called Too Much, and a prayer. Anyway, this prayer is helpful for me when it's just too much. So I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to invite Jolynn to read it too, and you can put it up for screen sharing, Jolynn. And then afterward, it will be a time to just be with this song, or write about it, or whatever is the right thing for you to do. Lord, listen to my prayer. Hear me in my hour of need. I'm overwhelmed by my troubles and terrified by my thoughts. Guide my feet on your path. Don't let me stop or falter. Teach me how powerful your love is and how insubstantial my fears. Like the pupil of the eye, protect me. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. Cover me with your mercy. Rock me to sleep in the dark. And let me, when I awaken, see nothing but the light of your face.
Psalm 17. Lord, listen to my prayer. Hear me in my hour of need. I'm overwhelmed by my troubles and terrified by my thoughts. Guide my feet on your path. Don't let me stop or falter. Teach me how powerful your love is and how insubstantial my fears. Like the pupil of the eye, protect me. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. Cover me with your mercy. Rock me to sleep in the dark, and let me, when I waken, see nothing but the light of your face.